Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the Psychic Tarot Show, coming to you live every Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. Welcome. Fire Within. Hey, Mama 7. Seems a little quiet. Seems a little quiet today. I feel as though there's a little bit of a hush or a lull in the air. Hi, Linda. Happy February. Yes, we are in the first week of February. So this forecast is going to cover today, February 1st, all the way through to the 7th. Hi, Tarot by Lupo. Welcome, welcome. Slowly everyone is arriving. Again, like I said, it feels like there's a little bit of a lull in the air. I'm very curious to observe and tune in together to see what is in store for us this week. I don't know how it affected you, but it was very supportive, that information that channeled through last week for me. And I still feel a bit of that energy in the air. We have had some incredible, events happening in the global stage. And it is generating a lot of, I want to say, that sort of intensity and that, and let's just call it like a sort of anxiety, anticipation. So I want to, weird energy around St. Louis. Welcome from Georgia. So again, if we can acknowledge that this is absolutely, there are regional versions of what's going on. Just as I was tuning in before I came onto the live, I was really feeling like, there's a global energy going on right now. And this is somehow reminiscent of some sort of node that we've been in the past. So there's a familiarity to it. And when we go through these great portals or transformations, Meg talks about this with the astrology often, where these things are similar to earlier events. So Meg was mentioning, the last time that we had certain configurations astrologically were in the late 1700s, what was going on in Europe with revolutions and so forth at that time. Obviously, we're not repeating. I think the main message here is that we're not repeating things exactly as they happened in the past, but it does bring us to some of those turning points of a lot of converging lines or timelines where we have the opportunity to revisit some of our history. And this time, when we come to those chaotic nodes or timeline converging energies, that we make better choices is what I'm hearing. So hello from Vancouver, Ottawa, New Zealand. Yeah, New York. Hello, everyone. Yeah, hi from Vancouver. It's snowing here. I'm on the island and we had snow this morning, our first and only snow of this winter so far, which is pretty normal for us. It actually felt really bright and clear. The sky was clear after the snow and everything was sparkling and beautiful. Yeah, so again, with each challenge comes the silver linings. And let's see how we're supposed to navigate these ongoing challenges. And whoa, the cards are active. I'm going to shuffle a little more. And the silver linings that are part of that. As we're often saying, it's important to direct our thoughts and our focus during these really ramped up times. So let's see where we're meant to look this week. Okay. When the cards jump around like that, it really just means there's a lot of energy present, and maybe it's going to take a little longer for me to sort of clear, shuffle, alchemize, so that we get the best version, the clearest version of what information messages want to come through. And speaking of messages, before we go much further, I just want to remind you all, of course, as always, like, share, and subscribe over here on the Beyond Mystic YouTube channel. We're always coming to you live as well on Rumble. And if you would like to book a session with me, you can find me over here on the Beyond Mystic Consultations page. You can book a 1-hour session with me. Those sessions are recorded, by the way, and you'll receive the recording. And I am booking sessions into the latter part of next week at the moment. So there we go. Let's get back to our reading for today. I'm going to make this screen a little bigger. So we're starting off with this energy of, remember I was saying the feeling of a bit of anticipation, like, again, I keep hearing this sense of there's a familiarity. There's something energetically familiar. And that is part of, I think, why we feel the building discomfort. So when we see this card, the Hanging Man, sometimes people say, oh no, the person has been hung. This is a terrible image. It's actually they're choosing to be in this inversion. You notice that they're not hung by the neck, they're hanging by the foot. And it's almost like a type of yoga posture, inversion posture, where you stretch out your spine, which really just means that you're creating spaciousness, you're creating this pause, and you're seeing things, you're allowing the truth or the information to settle down to your head. It also means settling your mind, calming your mind, and waiting till all the information settles. So there is this energy of calming, pausing. Yes, inversion tables, someone is saying, new perspectives. Linda's saying, I was feeling a lot of anticipation last night before I went to bed. Of course, we are hanging out there, hanging in there. Yeah. And not in any rush. Take your time. So this, we talked about this a little bit on the As Above, So Below show, this energy of, with everything going on the global stage, one of the things that there's a caution around is rushing. In fact, Penny Kelly and I talked about this as well on our Intuition Fridays. That was a great Intuition Friday, by the way. If you didn't catch that, check it out. Penny Kelly and I had a really phenomenal discussion, and I learned a lot. I always do. All of these, co-hosted lives, I learned so much from my co-hosts, and it's just amazing. Like, we don't really plan much of it. So what you're getting is our natural sharing and interaction, which is so lovely. Okay. Next card, so far, 2 major arcana. So major cards meaning there's the energy feels heightened because we have our major allies. There's 22 of them in the tarot deck. If we do a little spread here with only 13 cards and we get a lot of them, then we know if the allies are showing up, if there's a lot of spiritual support, those archetypal energies showing up, that means we're going through big things. Big things are happening. So far in the house of self. So we're pausing and letting that information settle, letting our nervous system settle. And in the house of Taurus, security. Well, it's all to play for. This is the Fool in the house of security and finance and resources and so on. So it could go either way. I want to see the cards around this and also across from it. Let's keep going. So here we go in the house of Gemini. Gemini being about communication, ideas, and wow, we've seen this for the last couple of weeks. You know, the airwaves are on fire. I mean, there's just so much information flying around. There's a lot of energy as well. I get, Gemini, it rules the mind, and it also is almost like the static electrical energy. And there's a lot of static in the system. So even we could be seeing things now. It's interesting that we have this energy with these, tragedies around airline control towers and so on. And I just get this sense that there's a lot of static in the, yeah, basically the electrical field is very static, is what I'm being shown. So what do we do when we have too much static energy? Think about it energetically. If you have static, you look for ways to ground that static energy. And that's what could be really helpful this week. If you have any type of grounding mats, or, any of that technology that helps us to ground, make use of that this week in an extra, an extra amount of that. And then if you don't have those technologies, the most natural way is obviously to get outdoors. Like we say it all the time, put your bare feet on the ground. If it's too cold to do that, you can wear leather-soled shoes, but there can't be any plastic of any type that is blocking the energy coming from Earth, that magnetic grounding energy coming from Earth. Anything that is blocking that is going to not allow your body to, it's sort of like finding that ground line that goes into the earth and diffuses all the static. And so if you can't do that, putting your bare feet on the ground, the next best thing is to put your bare hands on the ground or touch a tree with your bare hands. And, people often say to me, oh yeah, I walked outside for a couple of minutes in my bare feet, but I didn't really notice a big difference. And it's like, well, if we spend, 7 or 8 hours in front of our computer screen and then we go out for 10 minutes with our feet on the ground, obviously you're not going to have the same degree of effect to reverse some of the effects of all the static energy and electrical energy. You're not going to be able to ground that in a couple of minutes, in 10 minutes. So maybe you do it more frequently. Maybe you find a way to do it for a bit longer each time you go out. Okay, so that's in the house of Gemini, and that indicates that our feelings of safety and security are shifting. But so far, this is not badly aspected, this Fool card in Taurus. It's not like, it doesn't have really challenging cards next to it. So it almost is more like we have to balance between waiting and watching, and then, feeling how much is changing, how much is opening, how much energy is coming at us. So it's really just about staying balanced between those things. And this could relate to decisions around how to invest money, where you're making your choices related to security. Oh, what a lovely, lovely card. So this is the spiritual warrior card, Knight of Wands in the house of Cancer. The house of Cancer relates to home, family, and sanctuary. So this is really about your safety and security is connected to, I want to say, your relationships, your value system. There's something here about really finding safety with your people. So as much as you can this week, have those times with the people who are on the same page as you. And I know I hear from people all the time that they're isolated with not a lot of like-minded, awake people around them. Um, this would be a great week if you don't have those people near you, living in your home or close by, that you can invite them over. If you do, absolutely invite them over. And it just feels like a time where we can really sort of tune in spiritually, because this card is the spiritual warrior. So it's like, yeah, almost like holding counsel on a spiritual level this week. Not so much about trying to figure out all the truths and the narratives and get things straight, like not a lot of debating, more the energy of camaraderie, of, this is sort of like a card related to a type of revolution as well. So there is this sense of we're in a warrior aspect of ourselves this week. And we could take comfort in having those kinds of connections. So if they're not close by, see if you can call someone that you know that is like-minded and spend a good long time on the phone. Like, just really connect in a deep way this week. Deep, deep connections are going to help you feel that sense of family and sanctuary. So it's not so much a place this week as it is in camaraderie with the people that you're close to. And sometimes this can be related to how we're responding to the challenges in the world. So it can be sort of having, I know that languaging is quite warrior and battle-like, but it's almost like having a bit of a battle plan. And I don't mean that in an aggressive, violent way. I mean it in an energetic way. Interesting. You may notice that conversations are more about spiritual ethics and sort of holding the line in the spiritual battle. Okay. Wow. So the next card in our house of Leo, yes. So again, this is less this week about going out. We've seen this in the last couple of forecasts, where it wasn't so much about being seen in the world and going out, being very extroverted. This is more an introverted time. And again, the golden ones is what I'm hearing. So your most cherished loved ones and friends, those are the ones that you want to sort of create space with this week. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's very it feels like there's something, again, it's even about grounding us spiritually. So we're being grounded mentally. There's a lot of static in the air. There's a lot of information out on the airwaves, and it's spiritually and in our deep connections related to our deepest ethics. That's where we're going to find comfort this week. So not really a time to be very, like I said, extroverted. Leo is the most extroverted sign of the zodiac. It's the house where we open our arms wide, open our hearts, and, be seen by the world. This is a card of inward rest and contemplation, meditation, and grounding. So similar theme all the way through so far. I'm just going to pop over to our comments and see how people are feeling about that. Yeah, contemplation. The spiritual warriors. Wow. So interesting. We've got also related to weather. That in some places it's very, very hot. In some places it's very, very cold. I mean, this is not unusual, but we are in those kind of parts of the year where we could see more weather extremes right now. And I was actually feeling a bit of that too. So this does feel like spending more time, you know, more or less time indoors. But what are we doing? Are we doing what we normally do? Are we spending a lot of time on our computers and looking at a lot of intel? This is resting the mind and maybe doing some listening. So it's interesting because I'm hearing like um, podcasts, audiobooks, things that again are very spiritually uplifting. Um, this is part of what our soul wants to be nourished with right now. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, talking about how happy we were when we were kids, playing in the dirt, running through the grass barefoot. And that's possibly why the kids today are more depressed. They aren't in tune with the earth. They're not spending as much time in nature in the way that we used to. Tug of Light is saying, yeah, calling in my soul tribe and divine counterpart. This is, Meg and Jens and I were talking about this on the As Above, So Below show because we were seeing that this is a year where we're going to be kind of almost in a way taking some repose. It's year of the snake. It's the time to kind of go internal, do a lot of transmutation, a lot of healing. And it's also feeling like a year where we really find our people. I was speaking about eradicating loneliness at the end of 2024. For the year of 2025, I was saying that I felt there was going to be a big theme about that. And I think it is an energy right now of quality versus quantity. So it's really not so much about, obviously, we want to have allies and a network of people that, that we maybe work with or collaborate with on projects and so on. But the people that are very, very close to you, it feels like a smaller group where the connections are very deep and past life. A lot of past life connections, relationships, and even where we've done something like this before. I was noticing that in readings this week where people are starting to connect with the people where it's like we've done some version of this in another life, in another dimension. And so we recognize each other. And it's almost like we have a role to play, a mission to fulfill coming here. So far, very spiritual and philosophical this week. Let's go into the house of Virgo, which is more our practical day-to-day lives, our habits, and so on. Keep stirring the pot. So one of the ways you can look at this card is stir the pot. Don't let everything get stuck on the bottom. Don't let things fester. Yeah, like this is a card of keeping the energy moving. Synergy. I call it synergy because the threes are about energy, moving, synergy. And the wands are about chi, life force, energy, spirituality, creativity. So it's like double creativity with the Three of Wands. And you don't have to do huge activity this week, at least so far it's not being suggested in the house of health and habits, but don't stagnate either. So it looks like we're taking time to contemplate and go within, be close to really close people that are our soul tribe. And as far as keeping the energy moving, we don't have to like go, right? That's this Eight of Wands over here. But we do need to not get stuck in a rut this week either. So don't let things get locked in. energetically. So far, a lot of wands, 3 cards of these cards that have been laid out up till now are wands. Okay, so here we go in the house of Libra. Libra is our relationships of significance, really. It's like our partners, um, the people that we perhaps are, yeah, like business partners can fall into this. It's usually more life partners and serious long-term committed relationships. It's interesting, I'm noticing this character, 7 of Swords. So there's a desire, some need to control outcomes with the 7 of Swords. It's like we're trying to control things. We're trying to make, we're trying to make the connections work for us, solve something for us. I'm not sure what I'm getting exactly about this 7 of Swords. What I often say when it shows up, and especially if it shows up around relationship, is when we notice ourselves trying to control outcomes, control the connections with people, um, you know, yeah, like sort of like I'm almost hearing like make people love us or want to commit to us, or make people that we're in relationships meet our needs in some way. It's usually a sign that there's some part of ourselves that we're not committed to and fulfilling the need of. So it's when we find ourselves longing to affect change outwardly, it's usually an indication that there's some aspect of self mastery that's ready to be developed in a more meaningful way. So let's look at that for a minute. Now, on the one hand, in Virgo, we have, this card can also relate to exploring. I also call it the Explorer card or the Buffet Sampler card. So there might be some need that we have to explore life differently. Even though we're not being super extroverted this week, we could be doing a little exploration, trying something new, or freeing up some of our rigidity around, like having a different experience. We'll see where this goes, but it does indicate that part of what we're looking for, it could even be that we're looking for a kind of, this card often has to do with looking for adventure. And it could be that we're looking for a kind of adventure through other people. And it might be that there's some aspect of self-development that's being coming forward for us to pay attention to and nourish within ourselves. So interesting about all that. Whoa, okay, we've got another major card here. So far, we've only had those first 2. This is the 3rd one. It's in our house of endings, new beginnings, the house of Scorpio, death and rebirth, Wheel of Fortune. Things can change very, very rapidly this week. And it's the cross from the Fool. It's like, hang on to your hat. There could be absolute reversals. And so you're going to want to kind of, in this strategic way, you're going to want to have a couple of different plans of action. You're going to want to stay flexible in terms of your strategies. And, with this card in the house of relationship, it could be that the people that you're very close to, that you're in, long-term partnership type relationship with, they may not agree with your strategies. So you may need to just strategize a little bit independently this week. I'm not saying that you go ahead and override making consensus decisions in your relationships, but it feels like you at least need to go test the water, maybe not having everyone convinced and on board with your strategy. You might need to just kind of go and start something or test the water with something, um, even though other people aren't on the same page with you. So that's interesting. And that is in the house of endings and new beginnings, death and rebirth, Scorpio. So again, very big shifts. Things can go from one extreme to another. It is a little bit exhausting, and that's why we're seeing this hanging man. So reserving judgment, not making a decision, um, waiting for things to reveal themselves. We've seen this for the last 2 or 3 weeks, actually. And I think it's a theme of this season that we're in right now. Okay. Seems like we are mentally connected. Tug of light. Yeah. Oh, right. Just looking here. Beautiful. Yeah. Really needing soul tribe about now. And, it's interesting when we're saying that because it's a lot about counting your blessings this week. Often we focus on, oh, it's not enough. I don't have enough love. I don't have enough family connection. I don't have enough soul tribe. My relationship's not enough. My lifestyle is not enough. My, you know, my crypto account is not enough. My anything is not enough. And this is a really good week with this Knight of Wands down here in the house of our root chakra, basically, to really take stock of what you're grateful for. Gratitude practice is going to help you. It's sort of like the wheel of fortune is spinning right now. And if you're focusing on not enough, not enough, not enough, you're going to get more not enough. If you're focusing on, wow, I might only have one friend or one person I can call to talk about with this stuff with, but it's, you're going, wow, that's one more than a lot of people have. And I'm so grateful for that one person. So they're saying count yourself in. Count yourself in with your wins this week. Wow, that's a big statement, right? That feels like a really great motto for all of us. Count yourself in with your wins. Oh, patience. Patience in the house of Sag. Okay, now this is starting to make sense. The wheel is starting to really make sense. Sag is where, there's all this energy in Gemini, the ideas, thoughts, intel, information, truths being revealed. Things are just happening so quickly. And we think, oh my gosh, it's like, it must be time. I'm ready to expand. I'm ready to grow. And yet we're all feeling hesitant, like we're on hold waiting for something. And I think it's because everything is up in the air right now. It's like that, everything getting thrown up in the air and it hasn't landed so that we can see the pattern that we're actually in. We're just seeing a lot of energy moving. And it's hard to determine where's it's going to land. How soon is it going to land? Well, we're going to start with this week and say we're going to see something landing by the end of this week in the next 7 to 10 days. We're going to see a lot more things landing in the next 3 to 4 months. And I think the really big landing is going to happen around the 7th to 10th month of this year. So July, August, September, October, that's where we're really going to see the lay of the land, the new lay of the land, if that makes sense. Yeah. And we have here, so far we have 2 sevens. So 7 being a spiritual number. And then we have the spiritual warrior card here. So we're definitely on a spiritual journey this week. And the Fool is also a very spiritual card. It's a lot about faith. Both the Fool and the Hanging Man are about reserving judgment and like having the faith to sort of hang in there, have your spiritual truths, even if everything is not evident yet. Interesting. Okay, I'm just going to pull this down a little wee bit and we will look and see what's up at the top. Okay, emotions and how do we meet the world this week? How do we meet the world? Because everybody is feeling quite sensitive. The Queen of Cups is a healer. She is a nurturer. So how we meet the world this week, how we best show up out in the world is with a lot of compassion. She is one of the most compassionate cards in the tarot. So grounded in spiritual ethics. So, humanitarian compassion, random acts of kindness, good Samaritan energy, that's featured this week. A little bit turn the other cheek, not in ignorance and not in defiance, but a little bit of like softening our judgments. It's going to help us this week, recognizing that everything is sensitive. All right. Oh my gosh. Another major card in our house of, in our house of Aquarius, which is our friends, networks, and allies, and so on. So interesting. Like I said, you could feel very alone this week. You could feel very much like there's parts of this week's journey that you have to do alone. However, recognize that everyone is feeling that way. So as you look out, you're seeing a lot of hermits and a lot of sensitive, compassionate Queen of Cups. What you're seeing outside reflects how you're feeling inside. So we're acknowledging that even in our spiritual connections, it's almost like everything feels a bit mythological this week. It feels very archetypal. It feels like we're in some big story that's playing out. And when you get into that mode, it's really amazingly supportive to look at some of the stories of heroes and archetypes that you really admire. Read some of those, inspirational stories this week. We saw that last week as well. I feel like we're still a little bit walking through the shadows this week. There's still a bit of needing to sustain that inner light. And we're not going to be able to force other people to do that for us. We have to do it individually, but we can do it individually together. And what I'd be shown is, if you have only one flashlight on a path, it's really hard, right? The person that's carrying it is always somehow like having to shine it behind them or in front. But if everyone has a flashlight, even if everyone's flashlight is small, it's like, or if most people do, the whole path starts to be illuminated. So, that old song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine." If we're all doing that, it does create a brightness. Wow. Very, again, like I said, it feels very mythic somehow this week. And the last card in our subconscious, interesting. Another 7. So now we have 3 7s. We have the 7 of Pentacles here in Sagittarius. We have the 7 of Swords here in Libra. And we have the number 7 Chariot card, which is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th major arcana. So 3 sevens. So 3 of a kind is a blessing. The sevens are about our spiritual journey. So we're having a very strong uh, spiritual journey this week, each of us individually and all of us collectively. And we're being supported by these major archetypes: the hanging man, the fool, the wheel of fortune, the hermit, and the chariot. So it does feel like we're going through a bit of a passage, a rite of passage. You could see it like that. The chariot being in that house of Pisces, subconscious, again, as best as possible this week, stay in your own lane and put on some blinders around not going down into despair, morbidity, focus on dark stuff. Again, it's like there's certain times where that's going to be a lot more prohibitive. Sometimes it's not going to matter as much, but we are going through a tiny bit of a dark night of the soul here. It's interesting because it's almost the most light feeling that I've got this whole spread is this chariot. So just recognizing that it's a time to kind of keep your friends close and keep your blinders on, stay in your own lane, stay grounded. Don't get spun out with all the energy. The way that you're going to find security, the fool, the way you're going to access it is different than you think it's going to be. And it will happen almost organically. So the times of having to force our lives to make security for ourselves are coming to an end. Security is something that is going to be like a gift from spirit. And if we can stay in integrity, stay in our lane, stay on our spiritual path, it's easier for spirit to gift us with the things that we actually need, as opposed to the things we think we want. So, wow, pretty heavy spiritual stuff this week, right? How is this landing for everybody? I'm just going to sort of check the comments. Yeah, Chariot equals Cancer, new beginnings, change for the good, introspection, meditation, and spiritual growth. Thank you for that. Yeah, dark night. People are relating to that. Observe, not absorb, as Meg says. I love that. Lovely as well. Queen of Cups, as above, so below, emotions shown openly, motherhood, emotional integrity. Yeah. Another major arcana, 5 of them. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to let you in on a little formula that I use often when I'm reading tarot, and that is how many major arcana, the number of them kind of is significant. Let's just pull the last card and see if we have one in the middle here. Nope, but we do have a good card in the middle. The gift, the reward. Remember I was just saying that Spirit is going to give us security. We're going to have things, gifts, rewards of material nature that provide us with a sense of security that are going to come in ways that we weren't necessarily expecting. So they're not from our own efforts so much. It literally is like gifts from heaven. Yeah, gifts from God. That is beautiful. I was speaking about the number of major arcana. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the number 5 is about change. It is about chaos. It is about going through the chaos of growth and change. And if we've got 5 major cards, archetypal cards supporting us this week, it could indicate that what they're supporting us with is going through the chaotic node, the time of great change, of great, um, chaos and growth. A lot of growth is happening. And this is how we're going to navigate that growth, is by, as much as possible, staying neutral, uh, not needing to know the full answer yet, letting the knowledge seep down gradually, and trusting, especially around security and finance. A lot of faith, a lot of willingness to acknowledge with this Wheel of Fortune that things can change from night to day overnight. Things can happen very, very quickly once that wheel gets spinning. What are you calling in from the universe? What you want more of? Focus on what you want more of this week. And in your house of friends and allies and networks, see yourself as a role model, see yourself as a leader, and know that even in a group, most of you watching are the leaders and the avatars of the future, or you're here to train those beings. So it's going to feel, I often have people in readings where they say, I've just lost so many of my friends, or, my whole social circle has changed, and they feel very disappointed and like alone. And I often see from their spirit guides pointing out that this is what happens to leaders, no matter where they are. This is a natural rite of passage to become a leader, is a lot of your relationships get stripped away before you step into leadership. It happens, it happens almost naturally. It has to go that way. Because after that, your relationships are different. You are a friend mentor. You're not just a friend anymore. And then you find, as a leader, you find new kind of equal friends, but usually there's fewer of them. And they're more like, those are your allies. And, often they're also people that are leading and have to kind of be autonomous and spend time alone. So it's part of the trade-off to have the gift of having the honor of leading people. That there's going to be a certain degree of having to go solo. And it doesn't have to be lonely if you can recognize that everything is about relationship, right? Everything, and there's a lot of different kinds of relationship. Wow, this has been kind of energetically intense. I'm not going to lie, not in a scary bad way, but it feels big, right? It feels potent, and I'm okay with potent. Yeah, I think most of you are as well. I'm okay with potent, especially given where we are in the transformation of the human experience right now. I think potent is just about right. So speaking of which, let's just take a moment here again to check in with our Beyond Mystic offerings. We've got, you can find me here at the Beyond Mystic consultations page. You can book a private 1-hour session with me. Those sessions are recorded. You'll receive the recording after the session. So check that out. You can use the coupon code on the banner below to access that. There is something on the Beyond Mystic Academy. I'm going to bring this to your attention. We talked about this the other day, the Crypto Crash Course with Jason at 4 and Coco Level 3, Secure Cold Storage. And there is a discount coupon for that course. You can find that below. This looks super interesting, so check that out. And of course, as always, please remember, like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. And you can find us over here at Beyond Mystic YouTube. So that's it for this week, everyone. wrapping up. In some ways, I'm actually a lot more inspired and hopeful about this week than I was about last week with all those fives. We've gone from having a lot of fives to having three sevens. So a blessing around our spiritual growth this week. So not so much challenge and chaos as last week, more like stay in the frequency, stay in inner alignment, and expect things to look very different by the end of this week. And be open to receiving material security or gifts that provide you with that sense of security that are unexpected. Have a lovely week, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. I'm actually going to be on with Janine because Meg is away for the day. So Janine and I are going to be doing the As Above, So Below show. So check that out. And of course, next Friday with Penny Kelly. Until then, have a beautiful week. Blessings to all of you. Bye for now.